Hello, everybody, and welcome to IGN's weekly show, Where is Xur? The show where we find Xur and we look at his inventory together. Also, happy raid day. I hope some of you guys are tackling the Root of Nightmares raid. I'll be getting on that very shortly. And today you can find Xur in the tower. He's over here in the hangar, and you'll find him here on a ledge. So let's go and pay him a visit. Alright, so once you land in the tower, immediately turn to your left and go down a series of hallways. Eventually you'll find the hangar where you're going to take a left, and you'll find Xur hanging out on a ledge. And here is Snakeface himself. Let's see what he's got in store.
May we speak?
Alright, so first up, he's got Coldheart. This is a trace rifle. It shoots arc damage. Probably should have been stasis, but it shoots arc damage. It's good, and you should grab it if you don't have it already. Then we've got sealed Ahamkara Grasps. This is a great exotic for hunters, but unfortunately the roll this week is pretty bad. It's got spiky strength, but 59 overall stat points is not good, and so yeah, don't buy this. We've got Wormgod Caress. This is a decent exotic. Unfortunately, the roll is lower than I would suggest you go with your exotic. 63 is, okay for legendary armor, but not great for exotic, where you want 65 or higher. 69 is the goal. So I wouldn't buy this one either, frankly. It also isn't very spiky, which is bad. Karnstein Armlets. This has a lot of spikiness, but it's 62. So again, we sort of just got skunked on our exotic armor this week. So unless you need Coldheart, not a lot I can recommend. On the exotic weapon side, Hawkmoon over here, it's got opening shot, which is the best perk on Hawkmoon, in this man's humble opinion. We've got heavy grip, which I kind of like. Decreasing handling speed isn't really the best thing on a hand cannon, especially if you're using a bow hand cannon convo in PvP like I tend to do. Alloy magazine is great, and this is okay. I would say it's god roll. Heavy grip probably isn't people's favorite. I don't mind it, but yeah, we've definitely seen better rolls on Hawkman. And then Dead Man's Tail. This is okay. Killing Wind is certainly a decent perk. Hand-laid stock is all right. Flared Magwell. Nothing crazy about this one. Also, I really like Vorpal Weapon on Dead Man's Tail. I know I've said that before on the show, but if it doesn't have Vorpal Weapon, I kind of get less excited about this one. So that's Dead Man's Tail. Let's look at the weapons this week, which are mostly kind of underwhelming. Firefight. This is a decent auto rifle. However, all of its perks this week are extremely situational. So it's got Threat Detector, where you have to be in close proximity. It's got Extrovert, where you have to be near multiple combatants for that to work. It's got Focused Fury. Actually, Extrovert and Threat Detector do work together pretty well. But again, this is sort of situational, and I prefer perks that just make the gun good generally, rather than good in specific situations. It's also got a Range Masterwork, which I really like on auto rifles. Maybe perhaps useful to you in a bizarre set of circumstances, but not the most reliable role. Then we got Disparity. I actually like this one. Disparity is a great gun. Headstone, which gives stasis crystals whenever you get precision final blows, can be quite good since this is a stasis weapon. There's a bunch of interesting perks in the current meta that kind of synergize if you're using stasis subclass and generating crystals and doing that sort of stuff. So I really like this as a perk. And then it's got Outlaw, which is just great. It's a great perk. It's also got steady rounds and ambush and hockey breach armaments. This is an interesting one. I think it could be good if you're doing a stasis build. If you're working on a stasis build using the bow perhaps that came with this season, this could be a good kind of combo with that, or alternative to it. So interesting potential here. Also got a handling masterwork. Enigma's draw. Really don't like this roll. Full auto trigger system is kind of not the most useful perk. Elemental Capacitor is the most situational perk in the game. So yeah, don't love that. Under Your Skin with opening shot and land tank. I definitely like opening shot for bows, but land tank is super situational. Hip fire grip, not great on bows unless you have a very odd play style. So wouldn't recommend that one. Far Future with Quick Draw and Demolitionist. Blech. Just skip over that one. I really hate that roll. Blast Batu with Killing Wind and Rampage. Killing Wind and Rampage, these are classic perks. Can't really go wrong with that. Although it's got Proximity Grenades and High Explosive, which, I really like Spike Grenades. It's hard for me to get away from those. So it does have a reload speed masterwork, which is always nice. But some good perks. Some perks I could do without. It's okay. And then Night Watch. Night Watch, this is probably my favorite role this week. Subsistence, which defeating targets partially reloads magazines from reserves. Great perk. And then Rampage, which is obviously a great perk. It also has Range Masterwork. Range Masterwork, I would say, is maybe would not be my choice of Masterwork for a Scout Rifle since they already have so much range, but it's not terrible. And the good thing about this is that in the current meta, Scouts do have a role in defeating champions, so you might want just a reliable Scout Rifle to pick up and put in your inventory. So might recommend picking this one up. It's not bad. Moving on to armor, just a forewarning, we're going to skip Hunter and Warlock this week because they really did not get much. Hunters especially got nothing. I think Warlocks have like 163 stat, which is barely worth considering. So we're just going to skip right over those and talk about Titans this week. Titans have a 62 with high mobility, skip it. They've got a 57, definitely skip it. They've got a helmet that's got 60 overall and nothing spiky, which is a skip. But the boots are the reason I did want to talk about their armor. These aren't spiky, which isn't great, but the cool thing about them is that they are extremely well-rounded. The lowest stat they have is 6 in recovery. The resilience is 14. This could help round out different builds. It's just reliable kind of overall, and so worth considering with 65 points overall. But that's really the only piece of armor we got this week, including exotics, that's really worth considering. There just wasn't a lot of good armor this week for Xur. So that's a wrap on Xur this week. That's all we're going to do. And hopefully you guys are getting a chance to hop into the raid. I'll be jumping in there shortly. And for everything else related to Xur and Destiny 2, stick with IGN.